Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Motivation Monday, December 23rd, the day before Christmas this week. Christmas is Wednesday, and I'm super excited. I can't wait. So, without further ado, let's get into some girl chat with our beautiful, very special guest, actress, model Ashley Rose Nicholas. Hello,
Hey,
gorgeous.
hey, gal pal.
How are
Hey.
you? Wow. Oh my God, you're so
You're
gorgeous.
so beautiful. Thanks for having me today.
You are so welcome, and it's such a pleasure to have you here. So, before we kick off this interview, how has 2024 been for you so far?
I feel like 2024 has been very abundant, especially career-wise. I actually booked my first voiceover in January, which I wish I could talk about. Got an NDA, can't really talk about her per se. But
Got
The
you.
Burn of Nine Lives, premiered on Amazon Prime November 1st. I booked a horror movie called Don't Hang Up, which will be coming out next year as well. I have had two different front covers, magazine covers for modeling. I also just was rocking the runway, literally like last week as well. I've been in Harper's Bazaar, Vietnam, Vogue Italia, just kind of doing a little bit of everything. I traveled, I've been to the Amalfi Coast, like just doing a lot. It's been very all encompassing, very adventurous and amazing and so fun.
You have a lot. You just named a handful of things that you're into, but I like to start with my guests from the beginning because you're beautiful, you're successful, you're a model, you're an actress, you do it all. And it is definitely a balance. So let's start from the beginning of your journey. Tell us, who is Ashley Rose Nicholas?
Indeed. Well, hey, your girl, Ashley Rose Nicholas. I am 27 years old. I'm actually from Randolph, New Jersey, which is like a suburban town in New Jersey. It was more of like a smallish kind of town. It was predominantly white, and I feel as though I had a lot of difficulty finding my
Yeah.
own identity and seeing myself and figuring out who I wanted to be. So I started dancing as a hey friend, hey Kate Tooks, what's up, friend?
Shout out
I
to my
started
brother Kate.
dancing and creating as a way to try to find my own voice. I started
Yeah.
off with dance recitals and doing musicals. I feel like I've always been very like musically inclined. I started performing when I was like 3 years old in front of my family, of course. And then I got to AMDA College of the Performing Arts. After I went for dance actually, and after I graduated, I feel like I wasn't booking anything dance related per se. So I started modeling kind of as a hobby, just as a way to continue to storytell, if you will. I feel like most artists feel this way. It's very easy when you start from one thing to segue into
Yes.
other things, just because it's all like a form of storytelling. And when you really love to create, it doesn't really feel like work. It all feels like ways in which you be multifaceted and tell your story, whether it's dance, modeling, acting, like, and I was so hungry to find that. So I found myself in modeling and I got really good. And then, we ended up in Vogue and Vogue Italia and Nike and Foot Locker and Ulta Beauty and all these crazy things. But I was so hungry to act. I feel like I'm a very emotionally available human being. I think that's a good way to phrase it. Is I'm very emotionally available, and acting always felt like something that called to me. And when I was getting into my modeling, I met Vega like in the beginning of my career. I want to say 2016 or 2017. He was hosting, I was dancing, I was doing my thing. I want to say about like 2 years ago was when we really started speaking about the burn of nine lives. We didn't film until like last year, but we started speaking about it 2 years ago. I reached out to him and I said, Vega, I am so hungry to act. I'm so hungry to infiltrate that medium and let my light shine and my voice be heard. And I feel like sometimes in the industry, people can gatekeep a lot, or they'll be like, oh, you're too short, you're too this, you're too that. I've been told everything under the sun. But at the same time, look, everybody wants to tell you how to be Beyonce, but they're not Beyonce. I'm just being for real, right? So like, you just have to try to see it if it works for you. You know what I mean? Like, don't let people psych you out of something until you try for
Yes.
yourself. because just because it doesn't work for them doesn't mean it may not work for you. And when I reached out a couple months later, he's like, I wrote you a part in this movie. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I want you to play the lead love interest in this movie. I'm like, are you sure? I mean, like, I know I said I wanted to act, but like the lead, like you really, yeah. He's like, I believe in you. I know you can do this. And that was my first major role as an actress. And he honestly, in a room full of 1,000 people, he was the one person to believe in me and see what I was capable of before I even saw it in myself, to be honest. And I feel like I've grown so much as an actress. I've grown so much more confident in my craft and my capabilities. I even auditioned better after knowing, like, okay, like I am comfortable with being on set and what this encompasses. So I just want to say thank you again to Vega for paving the way for me and planting that
Yeah.
seed. And now I'm an award-winning actress from this movie.
Yes.
Kind of crazy. Shout out to Vega.
Look at God. And not only that, but you played the lead role of Pauline in The Burden of Nine Lives. And Vega is very, and I said this when I did my interview with Anderson. I said that he is very passionate. He is a consummate professional because he got on both of us behind the scenes. I call him my annoying little brother. He's so, and and he's watching. I know he's watching too. I want to hear it. I said he is very arrogant,
Mm,
but I love him
mm,
because he wants you to push. He wants you to do better. He wants you to believe in yourself.
agreed.
And when it came to scheduling and getting this interview set, giving you guys a little bit of the backstory, he said, "You're better than this, queen. I believe in you." So Ashley is not lying. When Vega believes in you and he puts his, because he's very passionate about his film and just shooting and directing and writing. When he says, okay, I want to cast you, I want you to be a part of my film, or I want you to be a part of my project, that's because he believes in you wholeheartedly. He's very dedicated and devoted to what he does. So she's not lying.
1,000%. And what I love about Vega is that, like, because he's so hungry, I feel as though, like, it's very addictive. Like, it's magnetic almost. Being on set, all of the people that he curated, because he had that spirit, it felt like we were all family. It felt like we were all, like, a driving force that had this common goal of wanting this to be the best movie that it could be. And, and it started from the top, which was Vega, which is Vega, and it trickled down. And it just goes to show, like, whenever somebody's in a leadership position, you curate the vibe, in which is the environment on set, at the workplace, whatever that comes to be, right? You curate the vibe. And the fact that he is such a leader, he's not a boss, because a boss will not teach you how to do something.
Oh yeah.
They'll order you to do something. Vega's like, no, let me show you a better way. Or, yeah, that was good, but maybe we can try it this way. And the way that he communicates is so, like, straightforward, but with so much love, because he knows that you can, he just wants you to be the best that you can be. And I feel like I'm so grateful to have that experience as, like, my first major experience being on set. I feel so lucky. I kind of feel spoiled, to be honest, that I got to work with somebody of that caliber, for sure.
What was it like getting the call back for Vega that you landed the role as Pauline? You are the leading lady in this project.
I'm not gonna lie, Stevie, your girl cried. Your girl cried. Your girl freaked out. I called my man, like, yo, babe, I'm about to be a lead in this movie. Oh my God. I was so stoked. And at the same time, I think my inner child felt satiated because she felt seen. I feel like for so much of my life, especially as, like, a Black woman, like, you constantly have to prove yourself.
Say
You
that
can do, like,
one
all
more
of the
time,
crazy
girl.
things.
Say that one more time for the
You have
ones
to
in the
constantly prove
background.
yourself. It doesn't matter if you've been in, like, Vogue or all the crazy things I've done. I still have people where I feel like I have to be, like, in their face doing something exponentially, like, amazing at that time within that week. It can't be something from last year. The portfolio can be stacked, but they need to see something recent. Oh my God, thank you. Okay, they saw the movie, period. It needs to be something recent. It's a constant constant workflow of proving yourself, of championing yourself, of doing extra work to show that you are good enough. And it can be very tiresome. So the fact that like I went to Vega and I kind of like was teasing it out. I'm like, yeah, you know, I would really like to be able to work with you in the future. And he immediately was like, I have a role for you because I know that you can do this and I see you. It just felt, it felt like my inner child felt validated. I felt very seen and like my talent was enough. Because sometimes I feel like the talent can be good, the work can be good, but there's things outside of your vision that you can't see and you don't know why it was a no. Even if you feel like, oh my God, I would have been perfect for this, especially as an actor, you never know why you don't get it. There's things outside of your control. You just never know why you're not going to get it. You know what I mean? So the fact that Vega sat me down and was like, no, like we went to lunch. We did so many readings. We did so many script breakdowns and different like character analysis for Pauline, for understanding the tone and the story structure, to build chemistry as far as Stephen and I and our relationship in the movie. He went above and beyond. This was before we were even on set that we were doing all of this. He was like, I want to do so much work before we're on set that when you're on set, we don't even have to do that many takes. And that's what was crazy was we didn't even do that many takes for most of the scenes because of the amount of preparation, passion, and love he poured into the before portion of getting on set. He's kind of iconic. Not even kind of. He's very iconic. Yeah, I've learned a lot from being around him. He's great.
Vega overall, and I said this to Anderson, who's also in the film as well too, when I did my interview with him. I said that Vega writes from personal experience. You can tell whatever he's been through, and even when he did his interview with my brother K-Tukes, make sure you guys go. Shout outs to him. Shout outs to my brother, the K-Tukes spot. He did an interview with Vega too, and he said great things about you when he interviewed him a few weeks ago, and he did. He also was talking about the film and just the experience overall growing up with his background and his heritage and how the film elements those things and echoes those sentiments as well too. So it's important that when directors and writers and creators tell a story, you tell a story from personal experience that the audience, the viewers at home, us, the consumers that are foreshadowing and getting this feel included in some sort of way. And I think you did that perfectly. Excellent.
Period. Thanks, Stevie. And also, I definitely agree because I know Vega grew up with a lot of like strong women in
Oh
his life.
yeah.
And what I love about that, especially like as like a love interest, sometimes you get written as like, you know, they call them manic pixie dream girls, where it's like you're not multi-dimensional, you're really there to just
Right.
frame the man, you know? And like you don't really have much going on for you except for the fact that you're meant to be like fawned over or like there's not much depth to the character. But that's what I love about how Vega wrote Pauline. She's so multidimensional. She has such a transformation throughout the entire film from beginning, middle, and end. And he gave me so much to work with. I feel like there was a lot that I had to pull for this character. I feel as though like the emotional transformation and just like I can't really spoil anything. You guys have to watch the movie,
Yeah.
watch The Burn of Nine Lives. It's on Prime, of course. But he gave me so much to work with. He gave me so much power. Even like the doctor. Sorry, I got a text. Sorry. Even the doctor that was working alongside me, Alicia, she was a very strong character as well. A lot of the women in the movie were strong women. And we tend to not really be used to that, not in film anyway. And I was
Not at all.
oh, please give me something to work with. Give me something to struggle over. Give me something that like I can sink my teeth into as an actress, and I can really go there. Because I think as an actor, you want to go there. So that's what I crave. That's what most actors crave is like a story that you can just like pull from all of your life experiences to make as authentic as possible. And that's why I really appreciate Vega because
Oh yeah.
clearly he's been around some baddies. He's been around some baddies. He's been around some strong, independent women. And he put it in the movie. And I'm like, yeah, representation. Okay. We love that. We love to see it. Love to participate in that.
And
So
that personal experience, and it shows that we're not a monolith. Each person, each character is not a monolith. Each woman in the film is not a monolith. He showed us again, and it goes back to what you just said about being multidimensional and showing different facets of us. There are parts where we can be emotional and vulnerable, and there are parts where we take on like the heroine, like, okay, I'm gonna step up to the plate and I'm gonna just unleash my inner tiger and just let it go wild. That's the dimensions of what makes a great actress. And Jennifer Lewis also said it too, as well as Taraji P. Henson. Taraji, she said this. She said, I won't do it if it doesn't scare me. So as far as actors taking challenges and doing different characters, you have to sometimes go to that dark place that you don't really want to go to, but just learn to turn it off and then turn it back on. And that's what makes an excellent actress. And you did a great job. Great job, girl.
thank you so much, Stevie. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me here to talk about the film as well. I definitely feel like it changed my life. I'm trying not to get too emotional about it. It did change my life. It changed my career path. It made people take me more seriously
Yeah.
in my craft, and it made them look at me in a different light because Vega was the first person to be like, no, you can do this. You know? So I'm very grateful that I can be a beacon of hope and inspiration for other people as well. Don't let somebody tell you that you can't do it. Keep going, because and you're gonna get 1,000 no's, but you will get a yes eventually. And when that yes comes eventually, that means that you're awesome. Thank you so much. When that yes eventually comes, that just means that that was the right project for you. I think people are so afraid of like no's, or that you try to fixate on
Oh,
like
yeah.
what could have went wrong. But a lot of the time you just gotta try and then let it go. You know, don't hold on to what is not working. I used to do that in the beginning of my career, where I was like, okay, I auditioned for this. I really hope I get it. I really want to do it. But it's like that kind of like desperation and lack of confidence, where it's like, why am I not getting it? That is probably why you are not getting it. You need to like just let go, let loose, and trust in yourself and trust what you are putting out there. Because, oh my goodness, hi George. Hey boo. Um, Trust what you are putting out there, because there are people that will and do resonate with that. And I didn't understand that for the longest period of time. When I started building my platform and finding my voice, like during COVID when we were in lockdown, I spent so much time trying to figure out what kind of artist. I graduated college. I'm like, what kind of artist do I want to be? What am I trying to do? What does dancing look like for me in the most authentic form? Like, let me try modeling because I just like the storytelling of embodying an outfit and
Oh,
being on
yeah.
set. Let me try singing because, you know, I like invoking different emotions through my voice, and that's also a form of storytelling. Let me do skits because, like, I'm just really hungry to embody different mediums of acting and film and all of that. And it was through that experimentation and being open to trying new things that I figured out there's no right way to start a career. You should just start. You should just do it. Because that was what was in the beginning of my career. I kept asking people, I'm like, what do you think I should do? Am I doing this right? I don't really know if I'm going in the right
Right.
direction. And they were like, I got all these different answers, Stevie. I got so many different answers. And girl, I got so frustrated. I'm like, does anybody know? I don't think anybody knows, sis. I don't think anybody knows. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just do me. And that is when I attracted the right people that loved my energy, loved the art that was coming from an authentic place. I built a fan base of people that see me for me and love that. And they're loyal and they've been with me for years and they look out for some of the creative things that I've done. It's all about remaining authentic to you and figuring out what that looks like to you. And what does success look like to you? Do you even know like what that means? You should figure out what success means to you, or else you'll keep on comparing yourself to people and you'll never feel like you're really doing it because you didn't decide what it looks like for you.
And I alluded to that because I used to do it all the time. I would compare myself to other people, and my brother K2 and a few others will be like, just stop. You're in a lane of your own. Everybody's in their own lane as far as hosting a platform, as far as being their own creative. Everybody has their own individuality, their own freedom of expression. And that I'm going to also go back to what you just said too. You're going to have a lot of no's in this business, but I've had a lot of no's. I've been told, well, you're too dark for this, or you don't fit the what we're looking for as far as, hosting a platform. So I said, you know what? Go and create your own outlet. Create your own opportunities. You're going to have no's in this business, but there's always going to be someone there to back you and what you believe in as far as going after your passion and your endeavors. Because I do vision boards, and almost everything that I put on my vision board has now come to fruition. So that brings me to my next question for you. What can you do today that you were not capable of doing a year ago? And I'm a little bit older than you, so I'm like big sis. She's still a baby. Ashley's still a baby. She's 27. I'm 31, so she's like a baby sis to me now. So I've adopted her. She's like my little baby sister now. But it's important that we know the ins and outs as it pertains to going after these roles. So what would you tell yourself that you today that you were not capable of telling yourself a year ago?
I would say a year ago, I hadn't booked a voiceover as of yet. And
It's coming.
now I can confidently say that I know what it's like to step into a booth with no other person in there but you, stare at a screen and emote
Yes.
like you're talking to somebody. Like I can actually say that I have that skill set in my tool belt. It is it is hard as hell. Especially when nobody's in the room with you. You got to act like you're really having a conversation. But I feel very comfortable in saying that I know what the audition process is like. I understand like what they're looking for a lot more, and not being afraid to really push yourself to be as emotive and expressive with your face as you want to be, because they're not looking at your face, they're listening for your voice. And if you look at voice actors and you look at them recording, I don't know if you've ever seen like the Proud Family, like the guy who played
Oh yeah.
Oscar. His facial expressions when he was in the booth were some of the crazy, look it up, y'all. Some of the craziest facial expressions I've seen in my life. But it helps. It really helps you get into character, and it helps you feel less restrictive. And I understand what that process is like a lot better now. And I have a newfound respect. I've been on an animation, like I'm a junkie now. Because to see and understand how hard it is to do that, and then you watch animation and you hear the voice actors, I have a newfound respect. That is some of the hardest work I've ever done in my life so far, to be honest with you. Um, with the project, it got a little difficult. I'd have to, because the director who was outside the booth, he's like, okay, you kind of sound like you're reading it a little bit. And then I'd try to say it again, and I'd be looking at him, and he'd be like, oh, you sound a little better, when you actually, when we make eye contact. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
can I do it while staring at you? He's like, yeah. So I like tried to do it like that, and it helped a lot better because I felt like it was a conversation. But I do want to get to the point where I don't need to do that, and I can just fully emote and be so in my bag and in my character that I don't need to look at somebody to feel as though it's conversational. It's really hard. Like if you're in the booth and you're just looking at words and you have to act like you're talking to somebody,
And
it's
emote that conversation how we're doing it now. I've seen it, and it goes back to what she just said about the Proud Family, and you talking about Tommy Davidson. I've interviewed Tommy Davidson, and oh my God, when I tell you, he's so animated, and he comes from a place that's real. He not only spoke
mm-hmm.
about doing the voice for of Oscar Proud, but he also spoke about, the hardships, what it took to get there at that point in his career. So as far as doing voiceover work, because I've interviewed voiceover artists as well here on my platform, it's a lot of work, and they want you to really bring the character to life with personality. And they can't see the facial expressions while you're in the booth. Only the person, the sound director that's outside of that booth there. But when you're that character, when they take it and they turn the character to the cartoon, then you can really see the facial expressions come to life once through their drawing, through their emotions.
Mm, exactly. Yes. 100. Oh my God. I'm such a fan. That's like iconic. Wow.
Yes,
Congratulations.
Tommy Davidson. When I got the call, because his wife was his publicist, and she still is. Um, I got that interview through that. I spoke with his wife, and she set up the interview. And he wants to come back to the place, K Tooks knows. He wants to come back here in the dollhouse and do a second interview because he was in a time crunch. If you go back and watch that interview, it was sort of a time crunch. And I had to get him out a certain time, but we had such a great time. And my mother predicted something before that interview. I called my mom on the phone, and she said, "What if he breaks out into one of his characters from In Living Color?" Listen, Ashley, girl, when I tell you, because as an actress, you know this is a third wall. And me trying to be all professional on my Gail King stuff, trying to be all professional and
Uh-huh.
stay in professional mode, he corrupted me. He broke me in that interview. And I cracked. I could not stop laughing because as an actor, as you know, when you're trying to be professional, it's that third wall. You're not supposed to look past the third wall. He
Right.
got me. So y'all go back. I cracked. I was trying to be all professional, like I was on 60 Minutes or something, and he broke me. K Tooks knows. So
I
yes,
gotta, I gotta look that up. It looks like K Tooks does know because I remember that.
yes.
I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm
I
gonna
have
have
to
to
send it
look
to
that
you.
up. It sounds very invigorating. Just very entertaining for sure. But you had brought up vision boards, and I do want to get to that topic. I
Yes.
actually have a vision board in my other room, and a lot of the things that I have put on there also have come true.
Come to fruition.
So I definitely think vision boarding and understanding your due north, or just having like a vision of what you're trying to do, you never know. Like things can definitely come into fruition. Like I was telling my homegirl this the other day because I put it on my story. I'm like, oh, I'm an actor looking for classes. She goes, girl, let me know. I'd love to take a class. And I'm like, okay, but have you put it on your story that you want to act? Like, have you said it out loud to people? I want to act. Have you reached out to
Right.
anyone? Been
Let
like,
people
I
know.
want to act. She's like, no, I'm a little nervous of doing that. I'm like, okay, well, I would book things by just being vocal about it, by just saying I'm interested. So like, I feel as though people should be more open about like the things that they want to do and not just say it in their head. Like you have to be like, I want to do this. This is my goal, especially towards yourself. Don't be afraid to really like write it down, visualize it. And then it's also working towards that as well, but it won't be worth it unless you actually like are cognizant of it. Like I've written things down and I've looked back and I'm like, all of these things that I was focused on, they happened, whether like I directly knew it or indirectly, like down the line, they all came
Oh
into
yeah.
fruition as well. So it just goes to show when you are confident and comfortable in your capabilities, things will happen, but you do have to be comfortable in yourself and what you bring to the table. I was telling this to my best friend the other day as well. I was like, think of it this way, right? When you're auditioning for a role, you're basically telling somebody, I would like you to pay me for my talent, right? If you go up to that person and you're like, I'm an aspiring something, that means that you don't think you're a professional. So if you let people know, hey, I'm aspiring, I'm new, I'm not really like comfortable with it yet, how are they going to invest in you if you don't invest in
Right.
yourself and believe in yourself? You know what I mean? Like how do you want somebody to invest in you? Ooh, doing prophecy period. Okay. Sorry. How do you want somebody to invest in you if you don't invest in you? And that's another thing that I've recognized as well in the past. This is an expensive career path. I've spent so much
Yes.
money on my career, on classes, on headshots, on shoots, on networking events, on like traveling to different things. I've spent thousands and thousands for years on my career, but it has paid off because I believed in it, in myself, and I've
Oh
made
yeah.
all that money back by believing in myself. But there are people who are afraid to like spend a little bit of money on like a class or something like that. And I'm like, and that makes sense, especially, if you're struggling financially at the time. But down the line, you have to understand this is an investment. If you invest in yourself, other
Yes.
people will invest in you. If you do not invest in yourself and you do not believe in yourself, how do you expect other people to believe in you? You have to be the first person to believe in yourself.
And that goes to anybody. Anybody out here who wants to get into acting, producing, directing, or writing, you have to be willing to invest into yourself. That's just like me. I took beauty school when I was in high school.
Mm.
And I started this platform also after I just graduated high school. So
Wow.
if you don't invest into yourself, as many opportunities of people telling you no, you got to invest into yourself. As far as going and starting a business, as far as acting, your career, as far as modeling goes, because Ashley here, she's been published in some of the highest prestigious fashion magazines there is that I read, Vogue Italia, Harper's Bazaar. She's been featured in those magazines. Also in beauty campaigns. So big thanks for her, and it's because she's planned ahead. For anybody out here who wants to get into modeling, make sure you read over everything. Read over that fine print, and I tell this to a lot of music artists too. Read over fine print. Know what you're getting yourself into before you sign any contract. Now you can do what's called freelance modeling, where it's like, okay, you can go ahead and you can say, okay, I will do this shoot under these negotiations. You negotiate with people. Now, as far as hosting a platform, because how I got started was I went, and this comes out of my pocket, my hard earned money,
Mm.
backdrops, fashions, hair, makeup. I'm responsible for all of that. Setting up the dates, booking the guests. I'm responsible for that. So that's my time, my consistency, and my money, and it's because I invested into myself. And I'm reaping those benefits of people viewing and watching. You don't have to send me a penny. And I know a lot of content creators are like, hey, you can donate to me. No, you don't have to donate to me because it's free information. And I want people to learn
Mm.
from my guests. Information and education should be free. And that's why I provided this outlet for so many people. So fashions, beauty, anything, I invest into that into myself because I know I'm going to get a return profit from it. People watch, they enjoy it. And so far it's been a success. So I reap those benefits and I thank God for that.
Amen.
But there are some people you have to go out here and really, you're concerned about that. Create yourself a budget. If you want to go into modeling, create yourself a budget.
Mhm.
I know it's going to take a lot of money to build up your portfolio, to do photo shoots and build up your portfolio. I've sat with a lot of models here on my platform. Cara Young, who was featured in Revlon, Maybelline. She's walked the runways of Versace, Gianni Versace. She was
Wow.
featured on Cosmopolitan. We seen her in CoverGirl ads. I mean, she was everywhere. Her name is Cara Young. And she was in that era of supermodels. If we're talking about supermodels, you had Naomi Campbell, you had Cindy Crawford, you had Linda Evangelista,
Mhm.
you had Christy Turlington. She's from that era, and I told her she was also a part of the supermodel dream team. You also have Veronica Webb, who is underrated, and at a time where it could be only one or two black top models, these women, the women that I just named, you had Naomi Campbell, you had Tyra, you had Beverly Peel, you had Beverly Johnson. As it pertains to getting into the 90s, there could only be one black top model at the top. Y'all know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about and how they pit Tyra and Naomi against each other.
Yep.
So they come from a time where the black model was important. And then the first black woman to break that barrier so that we could have a Naomi, a Tyra, a Beverly Peel, um, who's another model, Chanel Iman,
Mm.
Jordan Dunn, Winnie Harlow. It's so many. Um, Danielle Luna was the first.
Mhm.
She was the first African American woman to be featured on a high fashion magazine, and that's Vogue magazine. And if you go back and you look at the cover, she kind of has her hand over her eye because they don't want you to know that she's a black woman. So that cover is so iconic. Yeah, Vogue magazine. And this was at a time where they didn't want black models featured on the cover. And that was Pat Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
who's also a big legendary supermodel who's walked the runways of Terry Mugler and so many other designers. At the time, it was Houston. 70s, it was Houston. It was Helmut Lang, Helmut Newton. It was so many. But these women broke the barriers so that we could have models of color out here. So now we see all models of all shades. And this one, she's a little darker than me. Her name, she showed up to the Met Gala. Ashley, I believe you know who I'm talking about. She showed up
And
draped
like,
in
like the diamond encrusted body.
diamonds. Anak,
I know.
Anak, stunning.
Kiai. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Anak, yay, yes.
That
College,
girl.
university, her thing went viral.
Yes.
You never know who's watching you if you are trying to become a supermodel. I think it was either Kate Moss or Christy Turlington that got scouted while in a supermarket. So you never know.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off in a beauty competition first, and they say, "No, that's not my stilo." And then someone big says, "I like your look. I like the
Mm-hmm.
look. I love what you're going for." And then it just takes off from there. You are walking in shows in Paris and Milan. You are walking in some of the biggest designers from Christian Lacroix to John Paul Gaultier to
Mm-hmm.
Dior. I mean, it's so many. A lot of these girls get scouted and they start off very young. From Naomi Campbell, I think she started off what,
Yep.
13, 14, one of those
Yep.
ages. Start
Mm-hmm.
off very young. And they've had some of their most iconic covers at that age. So if you go back and look in time, you're like, wow, she looks very young. And then as the career grows, they progress. So now, as it pertains to modeling, get out here and invest into yourself. And I see a lot of girls now starting to get with photographers and just put their own creative vision as it pertains to photo shoots
Yeah.
and what they want their look to be. Because in fashion, and we both know this, me and Ashley, we're both fashion girls. Fashion doesn't stay the same. So expect the looks to change. And I can give you an example. Linda Evangelista. If you go back and you look at some of her covers, this woman had a different hair color every single time. And it's like she transcended the time to go along with what year it was. Like
Mm-hmm.
one year she had red hair. I know when she walked in the Gianni Versace show, she had red hair and she cut it short. And then in another show, she had short brunette hair. That was her thing. She was known for her pixie cut. Naomi Campbell was known for what? Her bone straight long hair that moved as she walked on the runway. And don't let it be like a dress that I'm wearing today. The most iconic show that I seen Naomi do was the Victoria's Secret fashion show. And that meme that you guys, y'all know what I'm talking about, the dress that she wore with the like, I can't describe it. It's like fringe. When she walks, she knows how to make that. That's what it's all about. That's what photographers, designers are looking for. They are looking for models with attitude. They are looking for
Mm-hmm.
models who dominate that runway. And Naomi has dominated that runway. Her walk still stands the test of time. And then it's another model who I feel as though does not get her just due. And you have Tyra Banks giving her flowers. Her name is Yasmin Guri, and she was everywhere. We seen her in Victoria's Secret. We seen her in Mugler. We seen her in Clairol ads. She was everywhere. But people are like, where is she? She's still modeling, y'all. She's still modeling. She took a step back from it, but she's still modeling, and she is gorgeous. And people were like her walk. It's like she had the walk of life. She walked when it was like lava. You know how lava or what's it called? That light, a lava light
Mm-hmm.
moves. That's how she when she walked, that was her walk. Naomi just had a walk where it was just like, okay, I'm here. What's good? So
Yep.
every supermodel has their own thing. You have to develop. It's all about, and I said this when I did my interview not too long ago with Ron Cat. It's about artist development. And I feel as though in this industry nowadays, we've missing that as it pertains to building up to become a model, as it pertains to building up to become an actress. And it goes back to what Ashley just said, which is if you want to take these courses, you're going to have to invest into yourself. And even when the pandemic hit, y'all, do y'all know how difficult it was to get auditions? You had the self audition tape. We remember those days. It was difficult. Everything was shut down. So, I mean, my next question for you, Ash, is what would you regret not fully doing or being or having in your life? Because we have so many resources as it pertains to becoming a model, as it pertains to becoming an actress, as it pertains to becoming a producer or writer. What is one thing you would regret not fully doing or being or having?
I feel very blessed to say that I have and am still doing everything I've ever wanted to
Yeah.
do. And I feel as though it's because my parents raised me to be like, whatever you want, you better go get that, and we'll
Passion.
be here to support
Yeah.
you. You know what I mean? They were like, we don't really care if it's like something kind of like out there. You could do corporate if you want to. Whatever makes you happy, we'll back you up on that. And because they raised me that way, and I've always been very artistically inclined, I feel as though I always just went for, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a hard upbringing. I was bullied for like most of my childhood through like college. Unfortunately, I was bullied very severely. Um, but I feel as though even going through that, it taught me how to be independent and how to not rely on people for validation because I never
Absolutely.
really received that. So like I just grew up with very tough skin and I just had to learn who I was and how to truly love who I was because nobody was checking for me like that. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna do this. And you can either like join me or move to the side because I know who I am and I know I can do this. And so, I feel like I've pursued most of the things I wanted to do as far as like I'm acting, I'm in movies, I'm in multiple movies actually. I'm an award-winning actress. I'm a model.
Yes.
I do want to pursue singing, but that's a work in progress. I'm working on an EP. I feel as though I have done most of the things that I've said I wanted to do as an artist, but there's always growth and there's always more that I do want to do. I've always lived my life where it's like I just don't want to regret missing out on anything. If there's something that is calling to me, I'm gonna go try that. Why? Because in the beginning of my career, it was all about experimentation. I'm like, let me see if I can do this, and I did. Let me see if I can do this, and I did. And if I didn't like it, then I didn't do it anymore. But at least I tried it, so I know that if it was or wasn't for me. Like dance, I'm trained in that. I love it so much. The industry is not for me per se, and it gave me kind of a weird relationship with my body personally, trying to fit in with the trends of what was trending body wise a couple years ago. If you know, you know. So I was like, it was hard for me to fit in with that. So I just allowed dance to be something that was cathartic and just made me happy. I'm like acting, modeling, I love those things, but they will make me money. Dance, I love that as well, but I don't want to make money from that because that's just something that's just for me. And I also think that's really important as an artist. Thank you so much, Sunshine 315. Thank you so much. I feel like it's really important to have side quests and to have hobbies, especially if you're trying to pursue acting. Acting is hard, guys. It's really difficult,
It's a
and
lot of
you may be
work.
frustrated because you're giving your all into it and you're not booking anything. You will be such a well rounded and well versed actor if you go outside and you continue to live your life. You do things that are outside of that realm that you can't make money from, that just satiate you internally. That's so important because I promise you, if you're trying to pursue this thing and you're not booking things, you're going to end up being jaded from the fact that you love this thing, but you can't make it work. You have to find other things outside of that so that you can take a break or take a step back and still remain grounded, still remain afloat, still have that passion burning inside of you, even even if you're not booking acting as much as you would like to. But yeah, for the most part, I don't think I really regret anything. I think I've really gone out of my way to do whatever I wanted to do personally and create a legacy. That's like my goal. I'm not really in it for the clout. I've always spoken about that. I'm like, I do it because I really fucking love it. Excuse my French. I just really, really, really love it so much. It is my life. It has been my life for my entire life. I eat, breathe. I love the craft. I love expanding my craft. I love learning and growing and finding different ways and different lanes that I can create. Oh my God, hi. Hey Ish. I'm so hungry to expand my craft and just pour my all into whatever that may be, whether it's music, acting, modeling. They're all forms of storytelling and I just love them. And I think that was my biggest struggle in the beginning of my career. I struggled picking out what I wanted to do because everybody's like, find your niche. You have to pick one. And I'm like, okay, but I'm like good at all these
No,
things.
you can do
And
it
it's like
all.
Vogue is calling me, but they're asking me to be in this movie. You think I'm gonna say no to this movie? You think I'm gonna be like, nah, Vogue? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm an actor now. Yeah, I'm just an actor. I can't be in Vogue. Sorry. No, no, do both. It's okay
Yeah.
to do multiple things as long as you give time to all of those things and you finish those things. Yep, yep. And that's another thing that we spoke about is that like the trends when it comes to bodies, it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's so toxic. It's not good for anybody's well-being. And I just feel like it's played out. I feel like we should all just love the body that we're in. Why? Because health is wealth. If you ask somebody that is not healthy, the number one thing they don't want to look a certain way. They want to be healthy. And I feel like that's what we should prioritize is self-love and health and comfortability in our own skin and in our own bodies. I feel like that's what's most important. I know the trends like they come and go. I know in social media it doesn't help because people are like, oh my God, like you know what I mean. You know the trend that we're on right now. So people are like, oh my God, like what do they say? They'll be like, oh my God, I love being so skinny. Or like there's just like the trends are so like all over the place. I feel like wherever you're at, as long as you're healthy and you're happy with yourself, that's what's really important, you know? That's just my opinion.
She said everything that I was fixing to say because as it pertains to body image, that is a thing. And I've had that conversation here. I've never really talked a whole lot more about it, but I have had this conversation as it pertains to body image. That is a thing with us both working in the beauty industry, with Ashley being a model and me being like this fashion influencer or beauty influencer in a way. And it's about the aesthetic, it's about desire. What sells is the body of the Victoria's Secret model, how they're curvy, big boobs, of course. And people look at that and it makes it even more worse because we are consumed by what? Social media on a daily. And as we scroll up and look, we think the consumers, we're going to buy the fashions and everything. And people see it and they're just like, oh my God, I want my body like
Mm-hmm.
hers. And it goes back to what Sunshine just said. And we start wanting to change things. So listen, love and appreciate what God has given you. Embrace your curves. Embrace everything. I remember I had the washboard abs. Now I'm 5'7", very curvy, and you guys see it in the
Ew.
pictures. So I'm blessed and I'm thankful for that. I'm blessed and I'm thankful. I don't want to change anything, and I embrace what God has given me.
Amen.
So my advice to mainly women, because we suffer with it the most. We
Oh
go and
yeah.
we go and we look at social media and we're just like, okay, is this how a woman is supposed to look? And some of the times we do it to attract a guy, and I'm just like, no, you gotta love yourself
Mm-hmm.
first. It starts with self love. It starts with self love, knowing you look in the mirror and you appreciate the woman that you are. you appreciate your natural beauty. Because I don't wake up looking like this. It takes me and Ashley don't wake up looking like this. So when I told her, I said, okay, I just got out of hair and makeup. It takes a village to keep me put together every
Yeah.
interview. But listen, when first thing when I wake up in the morning though, I don't have on makeup. I
Mm-hmm.
just see beautiful brown skin, brown eyes,
Mm-hmm.
cornrows. Yeah, everything is braided up underneath. If you know, you
I
know.
know
But
that's right.
fresh faced, washed, waking up, just beautiful brown eyes, just looking in the mirror, just embracing all of my wholeness. And that's what we as women we have to do. We have to embrace our wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace those, because I know cellulite is a thing for us ladies. So embrace that cellulite. Embrace those stretch marks. Embrace everything. Embrace all of you. Don't go and change it. Because if you go and you try to change it, and then you say, okay, you find something else, and just like, I'm still not pleased. I want to go and I want to change this. And I'm not telling anybody to get not to get surgery. Do what you want to. It's your body. But we got to love ourselves. And I've seen too many stories where women would go overseas and get these
Mm-hmm.
procedures, and something has happened. We can't
Nope.
reverse it. You can't do it.
Nope.
You can't undo it. You're stuck with this.
You are.
And the consequences are deadly. They're fatal. It's just like,
Especially for like BBLs, for example. Those
yes,
are some of the most dangerous procedures. Like people die from doing that, all to fit this image of like what maybe social media is saying is trending
it's
at the
beautiful.
time. But it's
Right.
gone from that to like people are taking medication that is, you know, meant for diabetes, and trying to be as thin as they can be. And it's crazy to go from like two opposite ends. You're going from one extreme to the other extreme, and I just don't think that's good for your body to try to keep up with all of that. You know, it seems expensive. It seems costly for your
Yes.
emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being to try to keep up with that. You might as well just try to find that love from within, which is what you were saying, which is waking up in the mirror, looking at yourself, and understanding I am beautiful inside and out, and loving what you look like in the mirror, no matter what anybody else. Okay, Fro. Okay. No matter what anybody else says, you know, as long as you exude that level of love, I think you attract it back
Yeah.
as well. That comfortability and confidence, it's infectious and it affects people. You know, it can inspire the next person. Like I remember having a co-star on one of my horror movies, and she was like this little girl. I think she's about like 6 or 7. She plays my daughter in the movie. I remember feeling such a beautiful sense of, I think I am pouring into and inspiring this young woman as far as like craft, digging into my bag, and just being comfortable to showcase all of those emotions. We even had a chat when we were done, and she just, I'm like, do you love this? She goes, yeah. And I'm like, okay, then never stop, because you are so good and I know that you can do this. And that is also one of my, like, that's a purpose for me, because I was bullied so much
Oh,
growing
yeah.
up. Pouring back into especially young black girls, I see myself in that. I know what that's like. I know what it's like growing up and having people make you feel small, or taking
And peer
whatever they're
pressure.
feeling and putting it onto you when you're just trying to take up space your damn self, and then suddenly you have to try to take up space and deflect everything that's being projected onto you. It is a lot. It's hard. It's difficult. You know, for the longest time, I didn't even wear my hair naturally because I didn't think it was quote unquote beautiful. I'm in a stage where I'm like, this is me. Whatever I feel like is the most me, as far as like externally and internally, I think that's beautiful. Why? Because it's authentic. And I think authenticity in a world that is constantly trying to get you to shrink yourself, or to chase after trends, or to chase after the next, you know, like aesthetic, like clean girl aesthetic, like whatever, like mob wife aesthetic. What is beautiful to you? What is authentic to you? What do you resonate with? And don't be afraid to stand in that, because you're inspiring somebody else who may look up to you and is like, oh, wow, I can be myself. And that is beautiful. I can stand in my power and just own myself and work on my craft and just do me. And I can get to where I want to go. And that's mostly what my brand is. I'm like, honestly, never messed anyone over, never used anybody to get ahead. I just kept showing up. I networked my ass off. I really worked on my craft, and I just did right by people. And I always went out of my way to help people. That got me into rooms I could only dream of. And when you are a good person, people remember that energy. And I honestly feel as though by just being a good person, being authentic, hardworking, that is enough. That is enough. And championing yourself. You have to really, 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 really believe in yourself and really champion yourself. Because like we said before, Stevie, 1,000 people will say no, but there are people that will say yes. And wow, I feel so empowered through this conversation. There are people that will say yes, and you are inspiring future generations to get up and go out there and do their thing because they see that somebody authentic and worked hard and put themselves out there, and maybe they weren't the standard of beauty or whatever. They're doing their thing. Anybody can do it. What do you want to do though? What does that look like for you? I genuinely have the mindset of like, I can do anything I put my mind to. And I genuinely feel that way for anybody that I speak to. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Okay, go do that. And then when I say that, they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, no, like, go do that. You can do it. The only person that's ever in your way is maybe yourself, your own procrastination, your own like thoughts telling you that you're not good enough.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only thing that's in your way. I don't see anybody in front of you right now. I don't see why you can't go chase after the thing that you want so badly to do. Anybody could do what they set their mind. I genuinely believe that way. I genuinely believe in anybody I've ever spoken to. And I've seen it. And people I know, I've seen it. They're like, oh, you know, you gave me the courage and the warmth and the inspiration to go out there and be an actor myself. Why? Because I was being bullied. You saw me. You stuck up for me, and you told me that I could do anything I wanted to do. And I'm like, well, I was also bullied, and I was also told that I couldn't do whatever I wanted to do. So I went and did that. I'm happy you're going and doing that. 100%. I genuinely feel like as long as you have a clear vision and you work at it and you champion yourself, I believe in most people. I don't know if that's a little too optimistic, but I genuinely believe that most people can do whatever they want to do if they're authentic, honest, and really at a place and ready to receive. That's another thing. Are you ready to receive? Are you afraid of success? Because I used to be in the beginning of my career. I was terrified of being successful. Like, and that's another thing. I was like, I just remember thinking, I'm like, oh, I know I can do this, but I'm kind of afraid of eventually being famous or whatever, and like millions of people staring at me and judging me. I don't think I want to do that. Maybe I should just not. It's like, you have to understand sometimes you might self-sabotage, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you might self-sabotage and you don't even realize you're doing it. I know people that do that like in real time too. Sometimes the only thing that is genuinely in your way is yourself, your own procrastination, your own thought process of your capabilities. Some people are like, oh, I'm just not ready. There are people that are doing what you want to do that may not even be like as skilled as you are, but are doing it because they put themselves out there and they're vocal about it. So like, I'm always just very like, just please, 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 if you want to do it, do not just keep it in your head, bro. You got to tell people that you want to do it. You never know who is watching. You never know who resonates with you and is like, I think I'm going to give this person a chance. You never know. But if you are not vocal about who you are, what you want to do, and putting that out there, it's going to be a lot harder, for sure. I just went on a tangent, I'm sorry. But yeah, I believe in all of you, whoever's watching this. I genuinely do. I really do.
And I agree everything what you just said wholeheartedly. Even from being bullied, that breaks a person's self-esteem now as they grow into their adult years, because it's just like, okay, that makes them not want to step out on confidence, not want to step out on faith. I too myself was bullied. And one thing that I was teased for was for my nose or
Mm,
my full lips. Those were two things that I was teased for. And I said, you know what? I wanted to change those things. I wanted to alter those faces. I wanted to alter my appearance. And I'm just like, you know what? This right here, my mother told me that you are beautiful. So if anybody needs to give you that reassurance that you are not feeling enough or more than enough, your elders, your grandmother, and your mom can reassure you. And my mom always reassured me. She says, I had you. You look just like me. You're my baby. I wasn't the firstborn. I have four brothers and I have two sisters. And me and my mom look more alike than anything. So we sound just alike, we look just alike, but she said, you're my baby, you're beautiful. Just the way God made you. Don't alter, don't change your appearance. Because I wanted to go in for cosmetic surgery, y'all. I was going to go crazy. Slick the nose, slice the lips. I was going to do that. But I said, you know what? Just embrace it. And I discovered makeup and what makeup can do and how it can alter your appearance. I have almond shaped eyes. So my mom has brown eyes, I have brown eyes. I've learned how to enhance those features. I've learned how to embrace those features. And that's what makeup does. It
mhm.
uplifts your confidence. It changes you. So going up under the knife for a lot of people can be a scary experience. I would say rethink before you do anything, any type of surgery. Just embrace the natural beauty that God has given you. And someone even said it best in the comments. I'm gonna go back to what AING just said, which is you're curvaceous and wonderful, and your appeal is deeply rooted in self-love and femininity and grounded, and a grounded sense of that. I love women who simply exude a sense of comfort in themselves. Absolutely. And you know what? Paris Hilton said this. She said the most sexiest thing a woman can have is confidence.
Mhm.
So look at that mirror every morning, ladies. Because I know women feel the peer pressure the most because we're looking at social media and we see the models on the Fashion Nova and what's the other brand? Victoria's Secret. But I love now that Victoria's Secret is now size inclusive,
Yeah.
and they cater to everybody of every single shape and size. Even when they brought back the Victoria's Secret fashion show, it was unique to see all of these models of all of these diverse backgrounds, all of these
Mhm.
body types, all of these different shapes, sizes, everything. We saw that different age groups. So Victoria's Secret understood the assignment for this. They
They
gave it
did.
to us. We've been asking for it for years, but I want more. I want more and more, even as it pertains to modeling for couture fashion,
Mm,
as it pertains to Ashley. Again, she's been published in these prestigious high fashion publications such as Vogue and Vogue UK. What's the other one? Vogue Italia. So all of these prestigious high fashion publications, we see the models and they're very tall, very curvy, like Linda Evangelista or Yasmin. And it's just like as it pertains to couture fashion, but there's one model who broke that mold to get into couture fashion. And you guys know who I'm talking about. It is Precious Lee. And she is gorgeous. And we seen her, she walked the Nina Ricci fashion show, Harris Reed, and then she did the Marc Jacobs show. She's everywhere. So
mhm.
it's good to see women of all shapes and sizes being included into the high fashion part of the fashion world, couture side, because we see them in the casual side, but couture is just over the top. It's not your average everyday wear like what me and Ashley are wearing right now. It's not your average everyday wear. I mean, couture fashion is taken to a whole nother level. I mean, you'd have to duck to get into buildings with some of their designs. How would you sit down in them? Just think about going to an award show and having to sit down in some of these designs. Like that, couture fashion is not your everyday type of wear. And I love it because it's out of the ordinary. It's out of this world. People have never seen it before. But back to body image, we feel the pressures of people telling us, did you gain weight? Did you lose weight? And then when you change something, people notice that's still not good enough. We have to get out the business of trying to please people. And Ashley said that in the beginning, mid part of our interview. It's somewhere in the marks. Oh, YouTube, when we publish this, when we post this interview, is going to be divided. So hopefully you guys will see the marks. But we got to learn to stop people pleasing as it
Mm,
pertains to body image. Love, if you are full, or as the children would say, you're thick, you're curvy, listen, embrace it. Embrace those stalls. And even for women, pregnancy, that's another thing they will say. It's a lot of pressure on a woman to what do they say, post baby body. We got to get
yeah.
back into the gym. You got to get back into the gym. I got to get back into my swimsuit. I'm my post baby body. I think it was Angela Simmons. I think she worked out during her pregnancy. So Sierra says, you know what? I'm gonna take the time and I'm just gonna let my body heal up naturally. And then if I want to get back to my post baby body, because Sierra is all about celebrating your beauty marks. She says your flaws, your scars are your beauty marks. Embrace it. Embrace every part of you. I have a scar on my leg, and the first season of when I started this platform, I would always be in capri pants. Now I say, you know what? I'm gonna show the legs off because
Mhm.
I would do like what I'm wearing today. It would be this cold shoulder, but also I would have on pants. So I'm just like, okay, now I've started getting into gowns, dresses, mini skirts, and just showing all sorts of skin, embracing all of the scars, everything, all of our what we call them war wounds. Embrace
Mhm.
it because it's a
Mhm.
part of you. It's a part of your life. Embrace it, and that would be my advice to anybody else too. Now, if you want to cover it and conceal for photo shoots, you do what you do. But at the end of the day, when you take it all off and you wake
Facts.
up, that
Yeah.
that star is still there, and it's just like, hey, I'm still human. I'm still divine. I'm still loved. Those are affirmations that you can say to yourself in the morning as you look in the mirror. And every morning I get up, I say this to myself: I am a beautiful, successful, confident Black woman with a
Mm.
platform that people are watching. That's one thing I say
Mhm.
to myself when I get up in the morning.
Wow.
So that's one thing people can't take away from me is that success. All of those affirmations that you say to yourself in the mirror every morning. Um, God said, I'm going to do this. God is going to make it possible. So those are affirmations that you can say to yourself in the morning as you get up as it pertains to. And I'm going to go back to Ashley's point. We have little girls that are watching us both right now in this interview. And they see two different shades of Black women. They see two different Black women from two different age gaps, experiences, walks of life. But they see our hair also, as you know where I'm going, because texturism is a thing within the Black community. Oh, her hair
Mhm.
is kinky, her hair is nappy. Listen,
Oof.
this is the thing about good hair, the conversation as it pertains to good hair, Black hair, with us being African American women. It's very staggering.
Yeah.
Because even if we go into these workplaces, and Ashley, I'm pretty sure you've seen stories where
Mhm.
models would say, I need to do this to my hair, or they wouldn't know how to work with our hair texture behind the scenes, or what type of makeup shade. I've interviewed
Mhm.
actresses. Shayna J, who's an actress, good friend of mine, Shayna J. We had a conversation where we talked about just beauty standards for Black women. And that was one of the topics we talked about, being in the fashion world or being on set and them not knowing how to properly blend makeup for the woman of color or the model of color. Another
Mhm.
is texturism, which is a thing, and it dates all the way back to slavery
Mhm.
because they would divide us up by skin color. They would divide us up by hair texture. Oh, she got good hair. She must be from. Listen, Black women, we're not a monolith.
Mhm.
So that means that we're not all going to look the same. We're not all going to be the same. I have strong bone structure. I have almond shaped eyes, high cheekbones, full lips, and a big nose. Those are black features. I wouldn't dare change my black features or my blackness. I'm an African American woman. So I wouldn't
Amen.
change those things. Those are things that make me who I am today. The queen that y'all call me, the queen that y'all see today. These are features that I just would not change. So to any black girl out here, forget them. Forget them and love who you are and appreciate who you are. You are beautiful. And it hurts my soul to see girls say, I want to go and I want to straighten my hair. I want to straighten my
Oof.
hair.
Yeah.
Love your curl pattern, love your texture. We now have a bill that's been put into place called the Crown Act, and I'm pretty sure you all have seen it,
Amen.
where when we go into the workplace, they can't discriminate against us for our hair texture because remember, you see stories of girls not even being able to graduate because their braids were a quarter too long or the color of the braids, and they got to go. I remember my sister down here where I was going to high school. They would not let you add color to your hair. It would have to be how my hair is colored today, which is basic black. You could not wear colorful braids, colorful anything, beads, nothing. So my sister got her hair braided, and she at the time it was, remember Lil Mo, or was it Alicia Keys? It was Alicia Keys.
Hmm.
Alicia would always wear the braids and she would have her beads at
Yeah.
the end. So my sister got black and blue this time. It was different than how Alicia's was. It was basic. Alicia's was black. So she added blue to hers. And my sister had to go and take out all of those braids because that was the school policy. So it is racism, it's discrimination as it
100%.
pertains to texturism. And that dates all the way back to slavery because of how they would divide us up as it pertains to skin color. My complexion would be in the fields, and someone who was about Ashley's complexion would be in the house. So we have to erase that. We have to fix that. And in this climate that we're in right now, as it pertains to being African American women, we are going to get prejudice on a daily. We're
Yeah.
saying, you're too much of this, you're too much of that. You need to be soft and docile. It's not going to work that
Hmm.
way. Black women, we now are standing up and saying, hey, this is us. Take us as we are, as
Hmm.
our hair texture, as our body type. And you are not too much because I remember I love Chloe Bailey. Love Chloe.
Love her so
I just
much.
love how she gets on stage and she just exudes, and they would say she's doing the most.
Yeah.
Then you're saying that black women as a collective, we're doing too much. You're saying the
Hmm.
same thing about Naomi Campbell. You're saying the same thing about Angela Bassett. You're saying the same thing about Viola Davis. You're saying the same thing about Ashley Rose Nichols. You're saying the same thing about T.S. Madison. You're saying the same thing about Laverne Cox. You're saying the same thing about Janet Jackson. You're saying the same thing about any or Lil Kim. Any
Mm.
one, any black woman who's expressing who they are, expressing how we feel, or if we're uncomfortable about a situation, we're doing too much. But
Hmm.
black women, we have been doing too much for decades, and it has benefited the culture, and we have yet
Hmm.
to see those benefits of benefiting and profiting to the culture, contributing to the culture. We don't seek those
Oh,
benefits. Whereas if we were someone from a, yeah, y'all know, if we were that, we would benefit from it.
preach, preach,
It's
preach.
the truth. I I hate to get on my soapbox and be radical, and my brother K2 said it in the comments.
Preach.
Preach, Miss T4, y'all know I'm not lying. Tell me if I'm lying, y'all. If I'm wrong, let me know. I don't want to get canceled. As we head into my new season 19, I don't want to get canceled. But I had to say it because I know that's how black women are feeling, as if your existence is not good enough. Your existence is excellent. Black women have been in the culture for decades. And as it pertains to hair, we can do whatever we want to with our hair. And what makes me angry is that we have now men sometimes that will police how we wear our hair. Oh, black women, y'all need to stop wearing wigs and weaves. I
Oh my
resent that.
goodness, that's a fact.
Listen,
Yes.
you can't even tell I'm wearing a wig today. You can't.
No, I can't. And
That's the beauty of it. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, to the men out here that make comments like that, it was someone, I can't remember who it was, who says black women, y'all need to stop investing into the lashes and the wigs and stuff. Listen, would you tell your mom or your sister something like that?
And that's another thing is I feel like more often than not, men say that because they think that we do it for them or something like that. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, like, you don't have to. I'm like, well, I appreciate that, but who said I was doing it for you or that I had to? Maybe I just feel like wearing a different hairstyle today. Maybe I just feel like I think lashes are pretty. Like maybe I'm just actually most of the time it is because we're doing it for ourselves. But they think that it is for them, or like a lot we're wearing an outfit for them. And I remember going to my man and I'm like, babe, high key, I feel like some of the outfits I want to wear, I can't wear because I live in the city and I know that I'm going to be like hollered at or stalked or something like that. But it's like I'm wearing it because I think I look cute, not because I want some random dude to start following me and
Right.
all of that, you know? It's so interesting how, as women, that's something we have to think of so often. It's like, okay, like I want to wear this, but I'm a little afraid to wear it because I'm afraid of like the ramifications or the danger that that may cause. But sorry, back to what we were talking about before, as far as like the culture being cool when other races do it, but not when we do it. And I remember seeing a quote, and it said something along the lines of "ghetto until proven fashionable." Girl, I know you've seen it. How many times have you seen something that us as black women have done? It's ghetto, and then it's on the runway. Or Kim Kardashian does it, and she calls it something completely different. Of course, we know what it's called cultural appropriation. You know what I mean? You're going to take something and act like you invented that thing and call it something completely different. It's like the hip new trend. But it's like, no, no, this is not a trend. This is our culture. This is our legacy, especially braids. Oh my God, like that goes like way back over to Africa where they used their braids to showcase different like as a map for like to showcase different locations. They use their braids to carry rice for
Yep.
food, to feed
Braid
their
it right
children
in.
and to feed their families. This is so much deeper than like a fashionable cool thing. This is our culture. This is history. And what you're doing is taking our history and erasing it to act like you made that in the first place. And that's not the case most of the time. Yeah.
And they call it boxer braids. It's cornrows. And as Ashley just stated, they would put rice in between the braids they were braiding it in because that's how they would feed their children. That's how they would provide for their family. These things were a signal. These were for us. This is our culture. And when they get the culture, like the brown lip liner, you guys can tell I'm wearing brown lip liner today. They would call it what? When Haley Bieber did it, it was called the brownie lip. It was called the
Girl.
brownie. I'm just like,
I'm sorry.
wait a minute.
Yo.
Now, if you go back in time, I think it was Monica, the singer Monica.
Yep.
He dies from TLC. And if you go back, Tony Braxton. And then it was somebody else. I think it was Janet Jackson. She would do it as well, too. Brown lip liner was a thing. And you've seen a lot of women of color mainly do it. Those black women were the ones that do it, that we see do it. Mainly Tony. If you go back and look at some of Tony Braxton's videos, well, when she first started off, she would wear the red lip. But then her during the second sophomore album, you would see her overline her lips. Secrets was the second album. So if you go back and you look at Tony, the Unbreak My Heart video, you see what I'm saying, where she overlined her lips. That's a thing, that's a trend that black women started.
Amen.
So
Yep.
I want to go and rename it and call it the brownie lip. That's what they called it.
Ghetto until proven fashionable. And I'm like, honestly, bro, I just feel like respectfully, if we could all just take up space and just, do us and not bother to look at somebody else and put them down for doing something just to turn around and do that thing. Just
Yes.
just do you. Don't cast your judgment on people who are discovering themselves, or doing something that they think is fashionable or think is cute. Art art is up for interpretation. What you think is cute, somebody else might think is ugly. There's no like one size fits all. We are not a monolith. And that goes with art or fashion as well. There is no like standard as far as like look. There may have been in the past, but we're in a
Oh yeah.
different age. You know what I mean? We're in like a different kind of like we're almost in 2025. Like I just genuinely feel like inclusivity, finding your own voice, finding what looks good on you, what feels authentic to you. Do that. Don't take it from somebody else and then call it something different. That's pretty messed up. But find what you like and just do you. Just do you. Just mind your business. Just don't project. Don't put it onto like somebody else. Don't put your insecurities onto somebody else. Don't put it on somebody that you think is an easy target because society is like, oh, they're not the standard of beauty. Like, it's like, okay, well, it's easy to dunk on them because that's the case. No, like, just do you. Just do you. I would love to be a girl's girl. It's hard to be a girl's girl sometimes because certain girls are very like, what's the word I'm looking for? They benefit from the patriarchy. And so instead of wanting to discuss or maybe send the ladder back down for other women, it's more just like Heisman. You know, like I'm just gonna like stiff arm you now because I benefit. I don't even want my privilege to be spoken about. I'm up here in this pedestal, so I'm just gonna stay there. You want to do that? Okay, fine. Others do have it more difficult and are not able to certainly benefit from such a privilege all the time. But I will say it's okay to recognize that privilege and not be afraid to send the ladder back down for people who have it harder.
Oh yeah.
Don't be afraid to be an ally, an advocate. Shout out to Zendaya, who is a mixed woman and gets most of the roles in which they want like a black female, they'll cast her, right? She has said it.
Right.
She's like, I really want more inclusivity for my darker skinned women and men that I
Oh
know.
no.
Even like Casey Undercover on Disney, when she had that show, all of her other family members were dark skinned. She put them all on. She goes, okay, you're gonna let me be, you want me to be in the show? You're gonna put these people on. And that is what it is like when you have privilege and you know how to use it properly. Don't be afraid to send it back down and help other people who are having difficulty, especially Hollywood, especially fashion, especially things where it's like they platform people that fit, especially music. Oh my God, especially music where they have a very specific skin tone, body shape, look that they want, right? Right? Maybe you can just recognize that you fit that privilege and, use your platform to talk about how it's not really fair. We should open up the pool a little bit. It's not like we're telling you to like go sign artists. It's like, don't be afraid to talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. Acknowledge it. Because by speaking about it, more people will speak about it. And then maybe change can come. But if you never recognize that or you don't talk about that at all,
Right.
you're not really helping whatsoever. You're just doing you and benefiting from that, which, unfortunate, but here we are.
And then what gets me is even in the music videos back in the day, we would look at the music videos and the video vixens. It goes back to Ashley's point. We would see girls who are of lighter or fairer skin, and they would have a certain type of body type. It
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't look like the everyday average woman. So again, those societal pressures, those societal beauty standards on women and what we are supposed to look like as it pertains to beauty and our aesthetic, it puts a lot more pressure on us because we start picking these things, we start picking ourselves apart as we look in the mirror like, maybe I am fat, maybe I need to do this or I need to do that. You have to do it for yourself if you want to do it. Don't do it for nobody else. Again, that people pleasing complex, we have to get out of that. And as
Mm-hmm.
far as the women being able to benefit from patriarchy and they're not using their privilege, Zendaya is a perfect example because she gave back. But then you have some others in the industry that will uphold that patriarchy
Yep.
because of their own internalized misogyny, their own internalized hatred towards women. It's just like you do know the same experience that the next woman is going to feel. You're going to feel as well too. Don't say we didn't tell you so.
Mm-hmm.
So misogyny, the only way to defeat misogyny is if we speak up more against it. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot be a woman and oppress other women. It just doesn't work that
Preach.
way. So you got to make sure that you are out here advocating for yourself and advocating for other women, especially in times like these more than ever in the entertainment business, where women of color, where black women are often shunned for being vocal about what goes on behind the scenes as it pertains to, okay, hair and makeup. If a certain, you put a certain makeup artist on and they don't know how to match my skin tone, or they don't know how to work with my hair texture, these are things we have to be vocal about. And you can't just put us in some. I was watching, I think it was one of the news shows, I think it was GMA. No, it was actually a fashion website, and they had the model with almost close to Ashley's hair texture, and they put a ponytail on. Like, wait, aren't you supposed to blow her hair out before you a ponytail of? Because when I think of a ponytail, again, it goes back to one of my favorite supermodels, is Naomi Campbell. I mean, Naomi was known for her
Yes.
hair, bone straight hair. If you're going to do a ponytail, you got to blow that hair out. You got to make sure that that hair is sleeked back. You can't just go and slap a ponytail on the hair texture Ashley has.
Is
It
that what
doesn't
they
work.
did? That's what they
Yes,
did?
barely, barely. You're supposed to sleek it. It's supposed to be sleek.
Oh
And
no.
then
Yeah.
we notice how y'all do the white models. We notice how y'all treat the white models. They get the hair and the makeup, match them right on up. The black models, back in the day, because I think it was Iman. Iman said that models of color back in the day had to bring their own foundation shades to the shows, because designers backstage would have the makeup, the glam team or whatever. They wouldn't know how to match models of color. So boom, the first black woman supermodel to start a cosmetics company was Naomi Sims, and she was also one of the first black models. And then
Mm.
years later, it was Iman. And then, even though she's big in the fashion world, she's one of the biggest female artists in this country. Rihanna gave us Fenty. And so we now have an array of makeup shades of, because again, we're not all the same skin tone. Everybody's skin tone, you're going to have one person is going to have warm undertones, you're going to have one person is going to have cool undertones. We're
Mm-hmm.
not all the same. I'm going to have more
Exactly.
gold than anything. So I mean, you're going to have one woman that's going to have an olive undertone. So everybody has their own skin complexion. You got to learn how to blend these shades as it pertains to melanated skin tones, because we come in an array of colors. One girl is going to be dark, one girl is going to be caramel, one girl is going to be cafe latte. You're going to have all of these different shades. You just got to know how to blend it so we don't look ghostly. And this was what Shayna was saying when she was here. And she said that they did her makeup, she didn't even recognize herself. I seen a TikTok video of them doing it to a model about my complexion, and she just broke down in tears because they didn't know how to blend her makeup. I gotta find that TikTok and send
I
it to
think I've
you,
seen it.
Ashley.
I think I've
Yeah,
seen it before.
she
Yeah.
just looked in the mirror, she just shook her head, and she just broke down in tears because they didn't have a correct shade. This is something that producers as well as directors who are working on some of these big high on set, Warner Brothers, all of, you need to make sure that you are providing for your actresses of color.
Amen.
Keep,
Amen.
keep. Thank you. Hey, stranger, it's been a minute. Y'all keep being great AF while operating at your highest frequency. It's been a minute. We got to get you back on the show. I know who that is. Quante, welcome back. You was in here watching the whole time, just taking it all in. But yes, this is something that I said because I've seen it happen far too many times where actresses would say, okay, some of these products that you're using on my hair are damaging my hair. And I
Yeah.
think it was Gabrielle, you said at certain point she noticed her hair start to get very thin and she went and she created her own hair care brand, Flawless Hair.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to make sure the models and actresses of color, as well as news anchors of color, are well equipped with a glam team who understands their hair texture. Because black women, we understand each other's hair textures more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm relaxed. I think Ashley here is natural. I know I'm relaxed. My hair is color treated underneath. So I have to make sure that my hair has extra conditioning. It has to make sure
Moisture.
because with color treated hair, it will break and damage easily.
Mm-hmm.
It damage and break easily, either or vice versa. I still have to make sure that my hair has protein in it so that it is healthy, that it is growing. But you can't really tell. It looks as if it's my real hair. The majority of the hairstyles I wear on the show are wigs, and it's because I protect my hair underneath. My hair is braided down, and with it being protected, I still have my wash days. I still have my days where I have to go in and I have to deep condition my hair. See, black women, we understand each other's hair textures. Our hair textures might be the same. You're going to have one girl that's going to have 4C hair. You're going to have one girl that's going to have 4A or 4B hair. So everybody's curl pattern is different. Everybody's hair texture is different. You just got to understand how to work with black hair
Mm-hmm.
because our hair is not like their hair. They can go and color it, chop it off, it'll grow right back. A black woman's hair is going to grow back a little bit slower. The process is going to be slower. But we have our ways to make it look like we got some length. Now, I know under here, I got a TWA and it's braided down. But I know how to give myself some length. And this is how I give myself some length. I wear a
Mm-hmm.
lot of wigs. I wear a lot of I want to say season 3, I started wearing weaves. I started experimenting with weaves. And then as the seasons progressed and grown, I said, you know what, I'm just go with wigs. We're gonna do it. I was totally against lace front before, but now I'm just like, okay, if it looks like it's my hair growing out of my head, which people have said to me before, they've watched my interviews and they said, is that your real hair? What do you do to maintain your real hair? I'm like, no, no, no. Underneath is my real hair, but this is not my
Oh
real
wow.
hair. And people have thought about it. But that's how good it's styled. That's
Mm-hmm.
another thing. You can't just have us walking out there any kind of way. We have to make sure that the hair is on point. Because I think Glorilla said it best for female entertainers, actresses, models, performers, singers. She said for women, it's twice times as hard because we got to have the right glam team behind us. We got to pay for makeup. We got to pay for wardrobe. We got to pay for all of these different things. Whereas males, I know you watching. Men, they can just go and put on a shirt and a pair of jeans, and that's it. For women, for us, we got to make sure that we have everything intact. An eyelash can't be out of place. Not even a piece of spinach in the tooth. Nothing. Everything has to be perfect, especially working in the business of beauty or working in the field of beauty where everything has to be picture perfect. It has to be beautiful. So that's what I would love to see. I want to see the push for more and more hair and makeup artists who are willing to work with models of color or actresses of color behind the scenes on these big corporations on set. I want to see it because for years we've had this issue. And who else? Because another thing, the curling irons can also be damaging to our hair as well
They
too.
really are.
And Kim Fields, Kim Fields said it best. I started when she was Regine on Living Single. Notice how Regine would change her hair every episode. Those are wigs. She says, I'm not about to keep putting curling irons to my hair. And Queen Latifah, who was the main character of that show, she played Khadijah. She wore a relaxer, but Queen Latifah now does not get relaxers. And she says, my hair now is a little bit more tolerant to heat. She gets a silk press. And I've seen her behind the scenes getting a silk press. So that's all of her hair. That is all of her hair.
Wow.
That is no quick. That's no extension. It's because she's taken care of her hair for years, and her stylist. She's got good stylists who take care of her hair. So it's about investment. So for anybody who's looking to become an actress or a model or whatever, make sure you're investing into an amazing glam team. Hair, makeup, get you a hairstylist that you can work with, that will work with you. And that will also be the one to push the envelope for you. And what I mean by that is make suggestions. It was Holly Berry. Holly Berry says the professionals never tell you what they use on your hair. Your hair is just looking so good, but they're not going to tell you what they use on the hair. Just like if I tell you, I have to kill you. It's a secret. But her, her hair looks so good. And this is around the time she did Dorothy Dandridge. She went strawberry blonde. It was like a little bob cut
Mhm.
shag. I have to find a picture of it and post it in my stories. But it looked so good on her. And they asked her about it on The View. And she said, I always consult with the professionals myself too. I don't put anything in my hair or try any hairstyles or looks that I know that will not work for me. So I always look through either Vogue or Harper's Bazaar or any fashion magazine just to get an idea of what I want my outfit to look. Because the hair also goes with it as well too. It's your accessory. So it's important that we take these things into consideration as it pertains to being behind the scenes with our glam team, our glam squad. To any girl who's looking to become a model or an artist, it's so worth it. It's costly being a woman in this industry because for when Cardi B even said it, she said that women, female artists, singers, rappers, they have to pay for their glam team. They have to pay for the makeup, the hair, the wardrobe, everything. It's a lot. It's expensive being a woman overall. We have to pay for these things,
Mhm.
even if you're not. Outside in the real world, on average, do y'all know how much women spend on cosmetics on a daily? How much we spend on mascara alone,
Mhm.
on eyelashes alone,
Mhm.
on going to the salon alone? And if you got someone in the family who can do your hair, I know my cousin, my aunt went to beauty school, and my cousin would sometimes do our hair in the family, or my grandmother, or my mom. So I mean, we would always depend on family members in between, but going to the hair salon alone is a lot. So for
Yeah.
guys don't have to worry about nothing but the beard and getting the line up or getting their retwist if they got dreadlocks or whatever. As Miss T4 said in the comments earlier, for guys that's what they have to worry about. But for women, for us, it's a little bit more because we have to sit in that chair getting our hair blown out, pressed, curled, or whatever for hours. It's a process.
Mhm.
So that's what we want y'all to take away for anybody. Investments. Invest into yourself if you're looking to become a model. And this, before we conclude, because this is such a great conversation, we went way over and this was needed. So, Ashley, before we wrap, what are some gems that you would leave to young girls who are watching both of us right now?
I would say, depending on what you're trying to do, really take that time to invest in a good portfolio,
Yes.
especially modeling or acting or anything like that. People want to see what you're about and they want to see that you're serious about it. They want to see examples of what you can do. A casting director is going to look to you and be like, okay, I want to cast you in this project, but I have to see that you can act. You need to invest in good headshots, good clips, like acting
Yes.
clips. And for modeling, you need a good portfolio showcasing different looks, couture, commercial, beauty, showcasing different things of what you're trying to do. And don't be afraid to try different things. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and be outspoken about the things that you want to do. Don't be afraid to experiment. Don't allow anybody to box you in. And believe in yourself 100%. Believe in yourself, like without a doubt. Because I promise you, I've only gotten this far because I was almost a little delusional. I'm like, no, 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 no. There is no if I'm going to make it. It's when I am going to make it. There is
Come
no
on.
if. I never thought of an if. I'm like, oh, it's when. And I already know what making it looks like because I decided what that looks like for me. I've already made it in a sense, but there's more stuff that I would like to do. So just deciding what that looks like for you, being confident in yourself, being confident with who you are and what you can work with, and knowing how to market that, market your strengths, not chasing after what, be who you are and market that because authenticity attracts people to support you 100%.
Absolutely. And to add on to what Ashley just said, today's final thought comes from Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill has a quote that goes like this: most people have attained their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure. So you're going to have obstacles that get in your way. And in this business, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have no's. as Ashley said in this interview. But guess what? And I say this, no is on spelled backwards. So when somebody tells me no, I'm a Scorpio. I've always been the one to challenge people and say, I can. Now watch
Did you
this.
say you're
My mom's a Libra.
Scorpio?
Yes.
Me too, sis.
Yes.
Sorry.
So we know Scorpios and Libras, we are very determined. We are very passionate about
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that we want to do. And my mom has raised us in a way to never let anybody silence our voice, silence of speaking out and saying, "Hey, I can't do this," or this is not for me. Or
Mm.
if we do this, we can work under these accommodations. Don't be afraid to say that. Don't let anybody tell you your existence is not good enough. Don't let anybody silence you. You're going to have those obstacles that get in your way. But remember what I said. No is on spell backwards. So you take that and you turn it into game on. And you challenge that person. Always do your own makeup, even if they have a makeup artist. Exactly, Chanel. And that's what a lot of models back in the day would do. Real quick before we conclude, Yasmin, as I've mentioned, she didn't allow any makeup artist to touch her face. She was very specific. Yasmin Guri, Ghauri. Yasmin Guri. She didn't. Tyra said this because Tyra's done shows with her, and she said she would not allow any makeup artist to touch her face. And the way she would do it, she was just in the mirror with the brush, like she knew how to find her lighting. And as a model, as someone who works in the beauty industry, that is right. You have to learn how to find your lighting, what works for you, what angles work for you. Even when I apply highlighter to my face, I've got one of the little flared fan brushes. You guys can see it there. It's important how you display that makeup, how you learn how to work your angles, because your face is like one of those little, it's like a pie. You have dimension, and you got to learn how to work those dimensions. Like I said, I have very high cheekbones, so I learned where to place the highlighter correctly. I've learned that I was doing it incorrectly, and then I've learned to do it the correct way. So that's how my makeup turns out perfectly. Even for brows, I've learned about brow placement and how important that is. If I'm wearing a bang, like I have a swoop bang, you'll only be able to see one brow, but you won't be able to see the other one. But as long as my face is just beautiful, that should be the focus. My eyes are the focal point. My lips are the focal point. Learn how to work your angles as it pertains to makeup, as it pertains to posing, as it pertains to everything. And you will come out looking just like the girls on the cover of Vogue or Harper's Bazaar. And that is my key trick. I've learned from Yasmin. She did her own makeup, and she did not allow any makeup artist to touch her face. All right, that was my. But yeah, learn what brushes to use. Also, invest in makeup brushes. I know I've got some for the Christmas holidays, and Christmas is Wednesday, you guys. So we will be back Friday. Make sure you guys tune in. Anna Tini joins me, so make sure you guys tune in. But back to Chanel's comment. Yes, you can give those same effects that a makeup artist, and it saves money too. Even though, I mean, it's optional, it's up to you if you want to invest in a makeup artist, but make sure they know your lighting, make sure they know your shade, make sure they got it all down pack, and take pictures. I know sometimes when I look at pictures, I look at a lot of fashion and beauty magazines. Like I go all the way back to the 90s. So from the over, how must I say it? I go from the 80s and the 90s, which to me was the best era for makeup, especially the 80s. It was more dramatic. So
Yeah.
as you guys can see, the wax blush on the
Mm-hmm.
cheekbones up here. I've learned that from Rihanna. Rihanna over exaggerates, and she said there's never too much highlighter. There's never too much blush. So if you go back and you watch her do her makeup, or look at her Met Gala look that she did, where it was I think it was Comme de Garçon one year, and she had her hair in a top knot and the blush. I learned that from her, so that
Yes.
is always been my technique for applying brush and applying highlighter. Is always go all the way up. go exaggerate it, go crazy with it. And that's what they would do in the 80s. The makeup would be over exaggerated. And now those same beauty techniques we are still using in 2024. And
Mhm.
hopefully it'll transcend on over to 2025, because beauty trends, just like fashion, they change all the time too. So I got to make sure that I'm on the up and up and I'm on the current as what it pertains to beauty. That'll be my last tip, you guys. But yeah, that side note. But great conversation, Ashley. I had
Wow.
such a great time. And where can everyone check you out? My new baby sis. I feel like I'm big sister. So
I mean, we're both Scorpios, so but yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram at Dancer of Storms. Please check out The Burden of Nine Lives. You can stream that on Amazon Prime. I have a horror movie coming out next year called Don't Hang Up, so be on the lookout for that. And follow your girl, follow me for the journey. You know, it's all a journey, and I would be glad if you would be here for the journey and whatnot. But thank you. And thanks for having me, Stevie.
you are
It's
so
so
welcome.
fun. Oh my God.
Yes, we got to do it again. I got to get you back on for my 19th season, and I'm gonna forward you those dates.
Sounds good.
So be on the lookout for that.
Cool.
And much success, much wishes, my sister. You
You
got this,
too, my
girl.
love. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me. Seriously, this was so fun.
Yes, I had a great
Holiday.
time. You too, and you have a very Merry Christmas. And to you too, Fashion Dolls, I want you guys to have a very Merry Christmas. And we will be back Friday. And then, of course, the 30th, we will be closing out this month. So make sure you guys stay tuned. We will be back January 2nd, season 19. Details are up, and I will see you all Friday. Take care, everyone.
Period. Bye.
Yes.